I thought it would be super fun to walk you guys through Dorothea Dix Park here right in downtown Raleigh to tell you the pros and cons of living in Raleigh. If you're new to my channel, my name is Chelsea and we moved to Raleigh last July, so of 2024. We moved here from Northwest Florida. We lived there for 3 years and we've been here since July and we actually have enjoyed it. So I figured it would be helpful to tell you guys from our personal experience what we like about it versus what we don't. As far as a pro of living in downtown Raleigh, I would definitely say our #1 favorite part is the walkability. We live downtown, so we really don't ever have to drive. We keep our car parked in our apartment parking deck, and then we just walk everywhere. So we've had to fill up one time in the past month, which is super nice compared to what we used to have to do in Florida, where we were in Florida, it was not very walkable. We had to drive everywhere, so we are very much enjoying the walkability. To go with the walkability, I would say the convenience to things has been really nice. We really appreciate being super close to grocery stores, to just regular shopping and day-to-day conveniences. Where we were in Florida, we were about 30-minute drive to either side of town to Panama City Beach or Destin, and so we're really loving the convenience to everything right by us. So there's a ton of different coffee shops right around downtown. Literally there's one on every corner, along with yoga studios. So if you're into yoga, you will not run out of options. I actually just signed up for ClassPass to try out a bunch of different studios in the area, so I'm excited to tell you guys how that goes, but there are plenty of options when it comes to fitness and coffee. We also actually appreciate the cost of living here. If you're from Florida or if you're familiar with anywhere in Florida, I feel like the cost of living is significantly more because it's obviously high in tourism. So where we're at in Raleigh, the cost of living feels so much more doable and so much more reasonable, from the grocery stores to the apartments. Maybe the housing is still pretty expensive just based on if you're trying to, establish a home here and live in the neighborhoods. That's probably going to be a lot more, but as far as apartments, we've had so many more options and it's been really nice compared to what we had down in Florida. We felt like there just weren't really many studio apartment options where we were, and here there's plenty of different places. They're constantly building new apartment complexes and condos too, so that's another thing that feels like there's endless options, and it just feels more reasonable and doable every month to pay a lot less than what we were paying before. Speaking of everyday convenience, the food scene here in Raleigh is absolutely thriving. So if you're a foodie and you like to try out all kinds of different restaurants, there are so many different ones here. You can go all through downtown and probably go on a food tour and just have a variety of everything. We've been to some really delicious places and we still have plenty to try out. So it's definitely a great place if you love to go to restaurants and eat lots of delicious food. Some of our favorite restaurants are Sushi Blues, and it's really good because whenever you eat there, you can get a buy one, get one free on their sushi rolls. It's so good. It's probably my favorite sushi I've ever had. We also really like Bolted Bread. Their coffee and their baked goods are so delicious. And then we also go to the Co-op, which you guys have seen if you watch my vlog here. We go there pretty much every day. It's like a grocery store, and you can go upstairs and work in their little sitting area. They have coffee, they have snacks, all the things. So we really love the Co-op. Another thing we really love about where Raleigh is located is its proximity to the beach and the mountains. So if we drive 2 hours, we can go to Wrightsville Beach or Wilmington. And then if we drive 2 hours the other way, you can actually get to the mountains. So you can go to Asheville, Boone, all sorts of different places over there. So we want to check out skiing. We think that would be a really fun winter activity. And then in the summer, we'll obviously head to the beach to get lots of paddleboarding and beach days in. So there's also a really great proximity to bigger cities around us, like DC. Hilton Head is within about 4 hours or so, Charleston, and then you can go up north towards like New York City and Philadelphia. So you have a lot of options. Oh, and Charlotte too. Charlotte is a great city that we want to go check out here soon too. And then also the flights. The flights are actually pretty doable, and we're excited to check out a lot of flights here soon to some bigger cities. Some of them can even range between like $50 down to Tampa for a round trip ticket. So the international airport makes a really big difference if you're into flying and lots of trips. And last but not least, we would definitely say that people are really friendly around here. We've really come across some of the nicest people, whether it's just at the grocery stores or around our apartment or just any everyday interactions. People seem really friendly and we can really appreciate that. So definitely a bonus that I have to throw in there. Now let's cover just a couple of the cons. When we were making our list of the pros and cons of this whole area, it was kind of strange because we were trying to figure them out, and there's not really that many cons, which is definitely a good thing if you're considering moving to the area. So probably our biggest con would be that there's a lack of water right in downtown. Saying that, there are lakes around us. It's just, obviously when you're in Florida, there's water everywhere. And that was one of our big selling points of St. Pete that we really wanted to move there for, is because you are just surrounded by water everywhere you go. So it is a downfall for Raleigh to not have any water downtown, but you don't have to drive too far to get to some sort of water, whether it's Jordan Lake or Falls Lake or the beach 2 hours away. Another con that we would have to mention has to be the humidity, which if you're from the south, humidity is pretty much everywhere, and if you're from Florida, you are extremely familiar with the humidity. So it's a downfall and it's not comfortable, but you know, it is what it is, and it's just part of the weather here. So you do experience the seasons, which is a big positive of living in the Carolinas. It gets really cold, it gets really hot, there's a fall and a spring. So we're excited to experience spring in the next couple months. Hopefully it's a good one. But speaking of spring, there are bugs, the mosquitoes. If you live out in like the neighborhoods outside of downtown, you do have to deal with some mosquitoes, which again, those are everywhere. You can't really avoid them, but it's a factor, and we would say it's a con. And last but not least, I would say that there is some crime, which you can't get away from really in any city. Our hometown is Little Rock, Arkansas, and it's the capital city of the state. We were very familiar with the crime in the area, and it was one of the main reasons we wanted to get out of it. In Florida, where we were, we didn't have to deal with it too much, which was actually really nice. But here in Raleigh, I think at night, downtown near Glenwood, you're gonna definitely deal with some crime, which is not very fun. So we don't go out too much after dark. We're kind of like older people and young people bodies, but there is crime. But the police do seem to take care of it around here, and it's not where we feel uncomfortable walking around the city, and especially during the day, it's really not bad at all. But I guess crime rates are relative depending on where you're from and what you're comfortable with, but it's a factor to consider also. Another con that actually surprised us from living in Florida, where it's super windy, is the wind here in downtown. If you can't tell, it's extremely windy, and there's wind tunnels as you're walking through the city between different buildings. We're not Chicago by any means, but it does get windy here. Living in Raleigh has been a pleasant surprise. I guess I should tell you guys why we even ended up here to begin with from Florida, because a lot of people are like, why would you leave Florida? And there are a lot of pros to living there. I actually have a video about living in Florida and the pros and cons of that. So you'll have to check that out. I'll link it down below. We initially wanted to move down to St. Pete or Tampa area last July. We were in Northwest Florida for 3 years, and so we wanted to go a little further south, and we really do love the St. Pete area. But all the signs were pointing to go elsewhere because of hurricanes and honestly the cost of living. We were looking at studios, and a lot of them are so much different than what we're dealing with here in Raleigh, what our options are. You don't get near the amenities for the price that you're paying, and you just have to weigh the pros and cons of each. But for us, it just, all the signs pointed to Raleigh, and Nick actually has family that lives in the area, so it helps too. And initially we really weren't downtown people. If you've watched my vlog for any amount of time, we've always felt pretty overwhelmed by cities. So this has been a pleasant surprise and a great way to dip our toes into city living, because it's not overwhelming, it's not too big, and it's not too small. And that's a wrap on all of our pros and cons of living in Raleigh so far. Of course, there's plenty more that we probably didn't list here, but hopefully this helped you guys understand kind of an idea of what it's like to live in Raleigh. If you're considering it, you could at least think of these as pros or cons. Some of them might be good, some of them might be bad for you, whichever, you know, whatever works for your life. So hopefully this helped, but feel free to drop any questions that you have in the comments down below. I'll be happy to help, and be sure to subscribe to our channel if you are interested in this type of content, or if you like the Raleigh area, because we have a lot more videos planned coming your way soon. So thanks for watching today, you guys. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up too. So I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.